Hello there. It is August 1st, and this is my first edition of In the CrossHairs, if you will. Just want to discuss a few things going on in general, specifically in sports and whatnot. This is election season, so we all have to be reminded that this is the time of year. Two things you can't talk about and have a friendly conversation: politics, religion. Just keep that in mind. At home, on the road, on airplanes, probably at work too. But let's start off with Major League Baseball. There's a trade deadline right now. Not much is going on. I mean, I'm a Dodger fan, so Riddick going from the A's to the Dodgers makes a big deal to me. I think having the Braves pick up Kemp will probably help here locally in Atlanta. Nothing real spectacular, but it is August 1st, so I'm sure there's some frantic stuff going on as far as that goes. NFL camps, practices are underway. If you can, get out there and see some of these. They're not what they used to be. Yeah, people complain, there's not enough hitting. Forget about it. Football's a vicious enough sport. You don't have to be beating the living hell out of each other every single day. But do pay attention and see the techniques that are being taught. Watch and see if they're being taught rugby tackling. They're being taught rugby style blocking where you use your shoulders a lot and where you utilize a Crowther sled. Everyone's looking forward to football now. The NFL is back. College football will be back next week. Now, NFL fans are really excited, and they will stay excited right up until, the biggest ripoff in sports is the NFL preseason. As soon as those games start, we're all reminded, oh yeah, they don't count. The starters don't play much. They don't show what they do. And generally speaking, they may be practicing, but we still are not going to see football until that second weekend in September. Now for college, I know locally here in Atlanta and Georgia in general, people are excited as heck about the University of Georgia and what Kirby Smart can do. And I've said pretty consistently something I really believe, and that's that why not them? Why can't they do what Jim McElwain did at Florida last year? That Florida team from 2015 spring was horrendous that he had. They had no offensive line. Their defense was beat up and injured and only partially playing. That football team at Florida had an amazing season. I don't care how they finished it off. That was an incredible year for a first-year coach at a big SEC program to win the SEC East. Well, you've got Kirby Smart coming to Alabama. Georgia has always had great talent. That's never been the problem. They're a team, though, that has been soft. And when I say soft, I mean soft mentally as much as physically, because being soft mentally leads to being soft physically. People aren't afraid of them. The Alabamas and whatnot come in here, go into Athens, have them at their place. They're not afraid of them. They're not afraid of being physically challenged because they're just not as strong and they're just not as tough as that specific bad boy. Speaking of that bad boy, how about Alabama? We could see, and I know it's crazy, but 09, 11, 12, 15, and maybe 16, 5 of the last 7 years, Alabama might win national championships. It's already been 4 of the last 6. Pretty incredible streak, and it really speaks to what Nick Saban has built there. It's all about competition. We all concentrate on the stupid recruiting rankings. That staff does more to get more out of the talent at that team. It's crazy. And you want proof of that? Look at the Alabama players when they go to the NFL. You think those kids play their best for Nick, or do they play their best when they get to the NFL and start making money? I'd argue they're at their best for those 4 or 3 years at Alabama. One of the other big stories in college football is something that's got to concern a lot of us, and that's what's going on at Baylor. Baylor, horrendous what happened. Terrible what happened. Art Briles is knocked out of there. They've had sexual assaults. They've had all sorts of stuff going on there. It's been covered up. And now it comes out that the conduct code at Baylor may be responsible for a lot of victims not even want to report it because they don't want to be caught up in the mess. And that's a culture that has to die, like now, maybe yesterday, and that's got to go away, and it's got to go away soon. I think we all agree on that. Hopefully, that's something we can say soon. I've got a lot of respect for Jim Grove. He recruited my son. My son played for him for 4 years. Jim Grove is a great gentleman and a class act. Now, at a big-time program like Baylor with those kind of expectations, will he get eaten alive? We'll have to wait and see. It's not going to be easy for him, and it's going to be an uphill fight just to keep those natives and pitchforks and the peasants from burning down the castle. All right, how about UCLA? I'm a UCLA Bruin. I will be till the day I die. I was raised that way. Jim Moore is going to have his best team this year. They have their best quarterback in quite some time, probably since Troy Aikman, frankly. And Josh Rosen could be that good. He could be as good as Jim Moore thinks he is. But if he's going to have a chance to be successful, he can't be treated like the piñata he's been treated like the last several years, or last year at least, but Hundley before him was beaten up like crazy. The key to me is simple. Josh Rosen has to improve a lot. Their offensive line has to take a quantum leap to not only protect him, but also run block effectively. Their defense has to really start and being assertive. Now, having injuries last year, I know they're not excuses, but the Bruins were pretty beat up. Eddie Vanderdoes, probably as good a defensive lineman as there is in the country. And if you don't know about him, watch him against A&M in that first game, September 3rd, and you will be impressed. And if he stays healthy and they have health on that defensive side, then it's a matter of, can they be mentally tough? I mean, here, week in, week out. It doesn't matter who you play. You play at a certain level. Now, do you have to play over your head occasionally? Yeah. But if you play at, let's say, 92%, and you have that ability to jump up and play better, you're not going to play at 100% the whole time, but you can get close. Now, the Bruins are going to be challenged like that. SC is going to be very good. Stanford's going to be very good. You still have the Oregons. Washington's going to be a hell of a team in the Pac-12. Washington State's going to be much improved. It won't be easy, but I think my Bruins have got a chance to have a very, very special year. Speaking of special years, I mentioned Washington. Chris Peterson is starting to get the culture and the team the way he wants it in Seattle for the Dogs, and I think that could be significant. Also, keep an eye on Boise State, and I can't give you a definitive why. Obviously, Rippon at quarterback is going to be improved, and he's going to throw more touchdowns, hopefully less interceptions. That will make them a high-powered, potent offense. I think, Harson's got the chance defensively to make his mark. And that offense being what it is, there's something about that team that stands out to me. And I personally have them ranked about 11 or 12 going into the season, with a possibility that in the Mountain West, they and San Diego State are good. It's going to be a dogfight. It's going to be a tough fight. But Boise State could come out of the Mountain West 12-0, 13-0 after the championship game and write themselves a ticket to the playoffs if everything breaks perfectly. Okay, I've overloaded my lizard butt with my alligator mouth as far as college football goes. Let's see, what else did I have for you? How about preseason in college football? What do you say? It doesn't exist, right? Well, that's what we have to keep track of. How is your team going to be in that first game? And if you need a good example, and look, I know you're all tired of hearing about it, look at Nick Saban's Alabama football team. Is there a team that improves more during the season? And there isn't a team that's a better example of a term, you better get them early. Because if you don't get Alabama in the first 5-6 games, you ain't going to get them. They're going to be better. They're going to be disciplined. And you are going to have an issue. I think that's what to look for when these practices start. Can your team just start developing? Can they go like my Bruins are going to College Station for the first game of the year? Tough call. Hey, you're a big boy. Wear a cup, it's going to be tough. A lot of teams start with tough games. Got to come out of that somehow, some way. You got to win. Then it's usually a couple of slappies, a couple of those homecoming games. Then you play another tough one. Got to win that. But if you get games on your schedule designated as your big games, you have got to win those. And if you win those, you get the momentum and you get the feel. And your program starts looking like a program that for 2016 could have a gigantic impact. We saw that from Florida last year. We see that every year out of the TCUs and the Ohio States and the Florida States, the Clemsons now, who has Deshaun Watson. And I know it's been said a lot, but I'll say it again. That's the best football player in America. I'm not knocking Fournette. I'm not knocking McCaffrey. I'm just telling you, Deshaun Watson is the best. Now, the running backs are going to be tough, but you watch Clemson. Clemson's got a chance. If Dabo Swinney's guys can have that week-to-week attitude I was talking about, man, this is going to be one special year. And I can't wait. I'm like everybody else. College football's getting going. You're going to get the NFL going here in about a month or so. Those games are going to count. Baseball's going to start in the whole process of the playoffs, and that's always the best time of the year. Basketball's going to start with the NBA. College basketball's going to start towards the end of the football season. Here we go, baby, and I can't wait. That'll about do it for today for In My Crosshairs.